You know, one thing that nobody prepares you for when you relocate to Canada, the quiet. I'm not talking about the noisy traffic or the hustle and bustle of Lagos or some of those metropolitan cities. I'm talking about the soul quiet. You know, the one that makes you really appreciate the fact that your life back home was filled with people, like the community, the noise, the stress, the confusion, the part where there's a whole lot of back and forth with people. It can be frustrating. Lagos can frustrate you, but Canada, it can emotionally disorient you. That quiet. And honestly, that can shock you much more than the cold. I mean, winter, it's a different kettle of fish, but the quiet, it needs getting used to. It can shock you, it can disorient you. Hi, my name is Susan Mark and welcome back to my channel. Today is actually my second missionary journey. The very first one of staying here for a whole year, I was on career break and the mindset was different. It's a totally different kettle of fish because, when I came on a career break, for me, it was more like, okay, feel Canada and find out if it's something you really like or not. And if you don't really like it, if you're not feeling the vibe, well, you go back to your job and all that. Now, this feels a bit more permanent. And so the mindset is you got to win this. You got to find a way to just survive here, not survive, thrive, because I like thriving, not surviving. It's the mindset for this sort of relocation or reinvention. It's totally different from when I came here on a career break. And so far, I have been here for a month plus, and I'm still liking it. I'm still liking it. But yeah, there are a few things that I'm noticing, and that is what I'll be talking about today. One of the biggest things I've noticed here is the quiet. I mean, I talked about it right now, but there are two kinds of quiet that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the obvious one, the one that we know about, the Lagos kind of quiet, the chaos, the humming of generator. Sometimes, if you're not careful, you're in traffic. You're stuck in traffic for 2.5 hours. The constant power fluctuations, lack of power, just the general disorder is one thing that there's a huge difference. When you come here, there's a huge difference. That's what you notice, the quiet. So there's not much. I mean, you love it, you appreciate it here because there's just the order, there's the calm, there's of course there are things that can actually even help you with the peace that you seek, like the parks and all that. I mean, that is fine. It's one thing I appreciate here. I will not want to be in traffic for 2.5 hours going to work. So I appreciate that part of Canada. And honestly, you suddenly realize how much stress you normalized in Nigeria because you'll be so used to the stress that sometimes you don't even notice that there's stress anymore because it's just what you're used to. It's when you come here that you really appreciate it and say, okay, yeah, you just appreciate the peace and quiet that comes with it. But then there's another quiet, the soul quiet. And that one can hit you differently, honestly. Because because where you come from in Nigeria, even if you want space, people are still around you. There's always noise everywhere. Someone is checking on you, someone is calling you, someone is disturbing you, someone is asking you where you are. There's always community built into every single thing we are doing in Nigeria. Here, you can go the whole day in silence. And if you're not mentally prepared, that silence can start speaking to you. Even if you're naturally someone who enjoys being alone and you enjoy your own space, still Canada can still feel very lonely. Not just physically lonely, emotionally lonely. And I think that's one thing many immigrants quietly deal with. Honestly. Another thing that has been interesting to me is the Naira to dollar conversion mindset. You go to the supermarket or you go to the shop and you pick one item and mentally you calculate it. If you calculate it in Naira and most times you just drop it because you're calculating in millions. You're like, oh my goodness, this is very expensive. And even when it's reasonably priced, you're still having that mental state of, oh, it's expensive. It's something that you need getting used to here in Canada, converting every single thing to Naira because you're earning in dollars. Some time ago, I wanted to do my nails and because my nails were not really looking good and I wanted to do it. So I walked into a salon and I asked them, if they could do my nails. First of all, they told me that I needed to book well in advance, maybe not even that day. And that was the first shocker. Like in Nigeria, you go anywhere, even if they're booked, there's always the next nail shop and the next one and the next one. You can never run out of nail shops in Nigeria. So, and of course, I asked them how much it was, and they told me some ridiculous price. And I made a mental note of how much that was in Naira, and I shouted Jesus. And everybody looked at me funny, like it was some nuisance. Of course, I had to cut myself and you quickly saved the situation. I was so embarrassed. Anyway, and the same with the hair. Like you making your hair, like braiding hair here is some huge amount of money. It's unbelievable, honestly. So I have ended up wearing my wigs. And where am I going anyway? I'm always home right now. So what am I braiding for? So I'm wearing my wigs. My wigs are saving the situation. At some point, I have to stop mentally earning in Naira if you want to survive emotionally in Canada. Another thing that I noticed that is honestly funny to me is the work culture. So, I mean, you know how it is back home. You call someone or they call you and you're working and you can actually just till eternity. You're working and you're gisting, and I mean it's just a normal thing. After all, they even tell us that your phone is your tool of trade. So you gist at work and all that. Here, what I've noticed that I call people and if when they're at work, they can't even talk to you. They are whispering. Maybe they are even in the bathroom. They are whispering. They can't talk to you because there's that whole fear that somebody might just see that they are not working and report them. So and it's really a different culture because where I'm coming from, that's all we do. We talk. We are working. We are calling people. We are calling friends, and we're working. We're just vibing that way. So it's a totally different kettle of fish here, honestly. And I find it really interesting and intriguing. The structure here is different, the accountability is different. People are more conscious of time and productivity, when they're at work. And sometimes it can get you into trouble if you're seen doing a lot of talking on the phone. Then there's also the whole job situation. What I've noticed here is that the bills are perpetually coming every single time. They don't care whether you just landed or not. There's the phone bill, there's the rent, there's the transport bill, there's a water bill. The bills are endless. And so what typically happens is that people, once they land, they're looking for the next available job. And if care is not taken, they're getting into the nitty gritty of, they are being swallowed up by the survival jobs. There's no long-term planning. They are not focused on maybe the experience that they brought back home and being very focused on the long-term plan because they need to pay the bills. They need to pay the bills. So they get stuck on the survival jobs because of the rat race and because of the fact that they just need to pay the bills. That's also what I've noticed. And what I will say is that as much as I appreciate that the bills will not stop coming, don't get so caught up and consumed with, the survival jobs that you forget your long-term plan, that you forget your focus. You just have to find a way to, while you're surviving, just focus on the big goal, focus on the goal. That's always what I will tell anybody. Another thing that needs getting used to here is it's the politeness. And Canadians are polite, very polite, and very respectful. And I mean, they can open doors for you. They are really quite warm in that way. But never ever think that politeness means some sort of connection because that's not what it means. One minute there's some sort of smile and you think, okay, there's a connection there. But no, it's just that whole politeness because at some point there's also the withdrawal. And so sometimes it might leave you a bit confused because you're thinking, okay, what was that about? But again, they are not fake. They're not faking it. And it's not like they don't like you. I think it's just that whole giving you space. It's more of an emotional sort of thing. They just give you space and they regulate their connection here. It's so different from us because all at home we are communal. There's a lot of noise. People, even when you need space, people will not give you space. We are also very expressive. When we are happy, we are very boisterous, and when we are sad, it's also this a the same thing. So, but here it is very nuanced and it can be very confusing. But here people respect space a lot. They are polite, they are respectful, but they are also emotionally guarded. So it needs getting used to. And if you're new here, it can feel very confusing initially until you get to understand it and appreciate it. But honestly, even with all the adjustments, the uncertainty, the silence, the job search, the emotional shifts, I still really believe that this journey will make sense. Honestly, I've had a couple of interviews so far. Nothing has clicked yet, but I'm very optimistic. I honestly think that with immigration, you change twice, can change you twice, one physically and the other one emotionally. And that's really the part that can be very brutal, to be honest. But I also think it's where growth begins. In that whole difficulty, that's where growth begins. And that's the whole essence of this channel. I feel like when people are migrating here and are new here, hearing the stories of other people, hearing their suffering, their uncertainty, the confusion, you know that some other people have taken that same journey and come out of it really positive, and that can make the journey on its own less stressful. One of those days, the job search got to me so, and the rat race and every single thing just got to me that I woke up feeling very heavy, and I decided to take my usual stroll. In the morning time, either I'm running or I'm just walking, having just my regular exercise. And I just thought that I'll do the exercise and feel less heavy. And I walked my way to the pond area. And, it's typically the time to meditate and have my prayer stroll and all that. And I came back that same day. I was still feeling very heavy. I was a bit, just really heavy and a bit depressed that day. And to be honest with you, I
That
would
is
say that I
okay.
cried. Yeah, I did cry. I did cry that day, and I recorded myself
Wow.
crying. And I'm still thinking, should I share it? I don't think so. It's still something that um, I still look at it and I'm like, wow, that got to my soul and made me really sad. So yeah, it can be quite daunting sometimes, and it's not that easy, to be honest. Forget about some of the glamour and the internet stuff with regards to it's every single thing is hunky dory. Sometimes it's the rat race, the quietness of the soul, like I said, can get to you, and when it gets to you, you feel some sort of heaviness, and you miss the communal feel of Nigeria. You really do that sometimes. I can tell you that. You feel it deep inside you. Yeah, so but for situations like that, you have community back home, so you can pick up your phone and call. And to be honest, since I came here, I've not lacked that. I would say that my mom and my siblings and my kids, especially my mom calls me on a daily basis. Oh, my mom is my backbone. Sometimes when you think about your parents and you know that they're the ones that pray for you, they always have you in their mind, and they're the ones that are just hold you up in their heart and pray for you, and you know that every single thing is fine. So even though you're going through all that, you know at the back of your mind that these people, they got you. You know what I mean? So bless them, bless my mom. I remember during the winter, she kept asking me, because I was always complaining. She kept asking me, "Are you wearing the right gear? Is every single thing okay?" you know. So I have my siblings. We are really very close. You can't even hide when you are not feeling okay. You can't hide because we're that close. And so you go to them, and by the time you've finished speaking with one or two of them, you're feeling better. So I'm glad for family. There's friends, yes. I've had a very supportive network, and I'm very, very glad about that. So at the end of my 40 days, this is what I've learned. Canada will give you peace that you thought you didn't need while you were back in Nigeria. The chaos that you got so used to that you never knew they existed, the incremental stress and all that. Canada will give you that. However, it will also disorient you emotionally if care is not taken. But let's come back in 60 days' time. We'll recalibrate and find out where we are. In the meantime, subscribe, turn on your notifications, share this with someone who is about to migrate, who is in the middle of their journey and needs to hear that This is totally okay. Whatever they are going through is totally okay. My name is Ozamaka, and this is African Voices Building in Canada. Yes, I changed it.